Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend and the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. Yeah, the world's a puzzle, brunch rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo coats haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, light things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze.
Boom! I burned it all, but bridges, nothing burns quite like a bridge does. Happy November. Whatever you do this month, don't feed the trolls or the feds. Don't let them feed you. Don't take the bait. Don't play with fire, but burn whatever bridges you need to burn.
Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here coming at you slightly delayed, but live from my studio / RV dining room located directly inside America. These damn ones, I swear. Anyhow, folks of the interwebs, once again, your host of Operation GCD, JJ Vance here, and perhaps most notably, not the vice president. No bombs here, folks. No bombs. Anyhow, thanks for joining me here tonight, folks of the interwebs, to get this particular. My back. The 1998 Scientology cinematic masterpiece warning us of the upcoming technocratic age here of surveillance, the surveillance state, enemy of the state, chock full of Scientologists. There is a Thursday. Well, hopefully there's a burger element to all this too, I hope. So thanks for joining me here tonight, folks of the interwebs. Got a real barn burner, like I said. Got a all-star lineup here for us. Real quick, though, on a few administrative notes. Got Operation GCD Thursdays, the anatomy of the satanic panic, coming in real hot tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Times, starring everyone's favorite psychological warfare officer, allegedly a Green Beret, Although I like to see evidence that fat, doughy bastard, Michael Aquino, there, old Muppet Mikey, passed any such physical fitness exams. We're going to be discussing the ongoing life and crimes of him and his pal, Laser Tag Ted.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Watch out, folks. They indeed, well, allegedly at least, they might have got Ted twice. Anyhow, so 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And then Friday, Operation GCD Fridays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Joining me here, 6th Century Podcast Tim and Daily Dissident Lane. Continuing our country or domestic operations, where apparently the CIA doesn't have such a. That's weird. And then Operation GCD Sunday is actually on Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. More of these matters. Well, I'm back. Look forward to tuning into those, folks. If the interwebs will be a real barn burner here. But tonight we got, well, maybe at some point in time, if my gremlins of this damn computer will work, we got ourselves a real barn burner on deck here tonight. So let me get our guest on here. Maybe. All right. Stand by, please. Stand by, please. What is going on? All right. Let's try that again. Maybe. And Bueller. All right, let's just do that. Hey, there we go. So joining us here tonight, Phil Z, my favorite secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System. Thank you for joining me here tonight, sir, to get a little GCD. Welcome back to Operation GCD for your very first time.
Thank you for having me for the first time.
Yes, sir. I do apologize. My gremlins here, my computers are acting up here tonight. And not much we can do about that, I suppose. But this is a lot of material.
I was going to say, I blame Bill Colby's apologist on that one.
Oh, is our channel here? I haven't got a chance to check the chat out here for him yet, but I hope he shows up. If he's not here yet, I'd like to go Bill Colby, Bill Colby, Bill Colby, and see if he appears. Also joining us here tonight is the other Jay. Oh, did you have any other commentary, sir, in regards to tonight's film before we get started here, before we introduce the rest of the lineup?
No, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, sir. Joining us also is the other JJ. I got my eye on you, sir. You're trying to out JJ me, and while I respect it, I'll have none of it. Welcome back to Operation GCD, sir, for the very first time.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me back for my very, very first time. And once again, I can't out JJ you, but I can give, some West Coast flavor to your East Coast flavor. So, I do what I can.
I like it. I forgot we got our East Coast, West Coast feud going on. I like it.
Right.
All right, sir. Well, I appreciate you joining me here tonight to get a little GCD on these matters. It's surveillance state. This film was way ahead of its time, in my opinion. We'll get more into that. I know these matters interest you at the Rise of Liberty podcast and your Mockingbird Media blog. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. These, I actually
matters
cover
of government overreach, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I actually this is actually like one of my hobbies is privacy and learning privacy techniques and teaching people different privacy features and way to maintain their basically digital autonomy from the digital state. Any way to be able to subvert the technocracy that's being, brought down on our throats with, digital jackboots. I just absolutely love doing that. So yeah, this is right up my alley.
I like your style, sir. And somebody else who is along these same lines, I like his style as well. Mr. Doctor Inferno, not a real actual medical doctor, just a disclaimer.
Not a real doctor.
Welcome back to Operation GCD, sir, for the very first time.
I'm glad to be here for my first time, for my inaugural, show. In a way, it is my first time because I am going to be reviewing a movie. So thanks as always, JJ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD. And last but not least, we got on our all-star lineup of usual suspects of enemies of the state, if you will. Pay attention to our channel. Take their names down. We got them all collected here. So, now, Todd the Wizard, greetings, sir. You're a man of many details as well, and matters of liberty, which I do respect. Thank you again for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD.
I appreciate the invite. This show amazes and blows my mind. I love the panel you got going tonight.
Well, you're part of it, sir. So you're definitely participating. You're aiding and abetting whatever you're accusing us of there.
Couldn't have a better time of it. No. Couldn't think of a better place to be.
This is an interesting film. I've always kind of enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it for various reasons over different times, I suppose. So figured we'd start off with a roundtable discussion here on when you first seen the film and what your first initial thoughts were versus what your most recent viewing was. And we'll start off with the secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System himself there, Mr. Phil Zeke.
Thank you. First time I saw it was college. I would say probably my sophomore, junior year. And, I think I had seen the previews for it, looked good. I like Gene Hackman. That was one of the things. Will Smith, I was kind of, I liked him as a movie actor. Nowadays, not so much.
Yeah.
But it was the premise. The premise kind of, pulled me in. I've been, I'm into movies, action movies, but I'm also into ones that like kind of get a little bit deep with it. And this obviously was one of those type of movies. And I was floored by it when I first saw it. And then I just watched it again Sunday. And I'm like, yeah, it still has that kind of impact. And now you think of everything that's happened in the surveillance state since then. And I think this might have been a movie that didn't get assistance from the CIA's, entertainment division sort of thing.
Sure.
But, it's, I think it's an excellent movie. I think it still holds up. It's funny enough that I just recently finished a book with a former wiretapping and electronic device kind of master of all trades who was consulted for this movie and had been consulted on a prior Gene Hackman movie that is referenced inadvertently in this movie.
Oh,
so yeah.
Which film was that?
The Conversation.
Okay, sure.
They actually use Hackman's picture when the NSA looks up Brill and finds out his previous identity. It's Hackman's picture from The Conversation.
Nice. Well, that's interesting. I didn't pick up on that, but I appreciate where your brain holes at, sir, and do appreciate your man with a lot of details, and I appreciate that as well. So, what was your biggest takeaway from your initial assessment versus now when you most recently saw it?
At the time, so like 18, 19 years old, I was already into conspiracies, but I wondered, I was like, wow, is it possible that the government possesses all this technology, or is it, just rogue elements? And now when I see it, and after a lot of the things I've read, I'm like, well, yeah, it was probably there. And they were just kind of saying, hey, well, we'll always have someone, it will never go this far. Like one of the last lines is, Will Smith's wife saying, well, who will monitor the monitors? It's like, in the end, it's like, oh, there is a monitor, but it doesn't do anything for us. Like when the movie came out, I think, what was it? Echelon was one of the surveillance projects they had going on. And then only a few years.
Carnivore before that in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Stellar Wind, after.
Yeah, those are some interesting points there, if I may. I kind of had a similar takeaway myself. And it's interesting, you see the private industry surveillance state in there as well, and the NSA. So everyone wants to blame the CIA, but obviously the NSA are the bad guys here in this one. I see a lot of Danny Casolaro stuff in this narrative as well, not the least of which Gene Hackman's character resembles a lot of Chuck Chalmer Hayes, U.S. Air Force retired colonel and CIA agent. So that's interesting. So I appreciate those thoughts, sir.
No problem.
OJJ, other JJ, sir. What was your first? When did you first encounter this film?
Well, let's see. It came out in '98, so it had to have been early 2000s the first time I saw it. And I at the time wasn't super involved or like had the train of thought to think about these like parapolitical aspects or the occult aspects or the revelation of the method stuff. I wasn't that far down the rabbit hole at that point.
Sure.
So it didn't really, stand out to me initially, but, second and third viewing, second viewing, it was definitely prophetic in my opinion. And now going back and watching it, it's just like, they were almost telling us exactly what was going to happen. And, my opinion about the movie is same about almost any movie, is that it's the revelation of the method stuff, that they're trying to desensitize us to these sorts of ideas and these concepts, even if it happens subconsciously. That way, by the time, digital ID gets introduced to Apple Wallet on every single iPhone in the United States now, people just kind of accept it. So, I think this is just, the continuation of the purpose of Hollywood. But I do find it kind of interesting because there are certain movies that tell us more truth than others. And I think this is one of those movies.
So that's interesting. So you first saw it, obviously you were a young man. How old? Teenagers?
Yeah, I would have been high school. So around the same time when I was like very first picking up like Ron Paul books.
That's an interesting take. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, that was it. It's just I probably seen the movie around the same time as I was picking up Ron Paul books for the first time. So
I got you. I got real big into Ron Paul there in the mid to late aughts. I hear you. It's like your brain was at, sir. So yeah, I mean, like, I see what you're saying about the revelation of the method type of deals, but I also look at this film as a warfare effort. This is Scientology at the time. They're just settling their warfare with the IRS, and they'd already done a lot of infiltration of the government and warfare before that. Lord knows what all this spook nonsense is in their beefs between each other, but there's obviously a beefs. And, again, we see a lot of, I see a lot of the parapolitics of the 90s playing off in this that it's interesting, but I appreciate those thoughts, sir. Todd the Wizard. You were a man who most certainly saw this in the theater in 1998, much like myself and Phil, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'd already found the conspiracy by probably mid 80s. Found it. When I say found the conspiracy, I mean,
if I may, sir, we weren't all as fast as you were to have your own conspiracy talk show in the early 90s. So I salute you for
I did that for a brief stint, and it scared me to death. Didn't last long. In about 1990, I thought I was going to be an activist and go get some real controversial guests on and interview them and bring some stuff that I thought was mind-blowing onto a local talk radio station. I literally got scared off of doing it. I was young back then and naive, but I was still an activist, and I wanted to change the world, especially when I found out the horrible lies and stuff they've been doing to us. I even ran for Congress here on the Libertarian ticket back in the day, back in the 90 or early 90s, just to try to make a difference.
Like JJ there. He did the same stuff, sir.
Yeah, and then I realized, holy shit, this is too much. I'm not going to make a change in that way. So I shifted gears and I focused elsewhere. But by the turn of the century, around 1998, stuff was heating up and getting spooky. I never took my eye off the conspiracy. You can't once you find it. But by the time 9/11 happened, wow, it's on. You realize this thing's going down. Everything you've been warned all these years, they're coming. They're not. And even sadder, 25 years later today, they don't even try to hide their machinations. It seems today they just flaunt the psyops and the corruption in your face. It seems.
It does seem that way, sir. That's a spot-on analysis, and I do think there's a lot of this secret society warfare that we do see kind of popping off here. Well, I'm sure Scientology and their overlord Xenu wants to warn folks about the lack of liberties. I'm being very facetious. I do think that a certain
JJ, hold on, JJ, for 1 second. May I say though, when I saw that movie, it hit me like
I hope you're telling me there's a burger element to all this.
it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'd already seen this conspiracy thing and went through all the years of they ran through movies of what happens when the Russians come, what happens when the Soviets attack. We were always being scared in the 70s that the Russians were going to invade, and so everybody's always saying, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" Well, enemy of the state is what are you going to do when these people take over with the surveillance state? So it was another shock to your system, to realize that they're beyond that. They're beyond what they're showing you in the movie.
Oh, well, they discuss that. That's a spot on analysis too, sir. They discuss that in the film as far as some of the dialogue between Hackman and Will Smith there. But if you hold that thought, please. Our channel, good to see you made it here, bud. As always, tell those Muppets at Langley to go fuck themselves. So, there's a lot of surveillance state. Again, I think that was very prescient. But again, I think there's a bit of that is, posturing, if you will. Because it's chock full of Scientologists. I mean, not necessarily the folks who wrote it or directed it. Obviously, Tony Scott and Jerry Bruckheimer and the guy who wrote it. I don't have any Scientology connections there, but we see Will Smith, Scientologist, at least at that time. We see.
Well, they're from the United Kingdom. They're from the United Kingdom. Tony Scott and his brother Ridley Scott.
Sure, but we see Barry Pepper and what folks. Well, sure, they're definitely hooked in. We'll look at some of the films they do here as well. But as far as Barry Pepper, most folks don't realize he was the next coming of Tom Cruise. This is at a time when Tom Cruise was falling out of Scientology. Barry Pepper was their upcoming A-lister star because, let's be honest with you, they can't do much with Travolta. He's done sexually assaulted too many masseuses, if you will, male masseuses. I wouldn't say there's much validity to those statements, but I myself am a sexual assault victim of John Travolta, so I do find validity to those things.
I already was partial towards big blonde guys.
In a vacant, he got a little handsy with me in a hangar one night in a vacant airplane hangar. Anyhow,
I love that story.
It wouldn't happen. So,
that'd make a great TV show or movie, JJ.
I appreciate that, sir. I will consider it. And maybe you'll call Bodie Elfman. We see him in the film. He's a major Scientology recruiter, generational Scientology. We see Jack Black. At that time, he's singing odes to L. Ron Hubbard. At 1997, he did a song with Tenacious D celebrating Dianetics. So we see a lot of these continuity of Scientology throughout much of this cast. And Gene Hackman himself is was my number one. He's now deceased, apparently, there, sadly. Great actor. I like a lot of his films, but he's number one on my suspect list of secret Scientologists because you can only, my opinion, you can only star opposite a Scientologist like Tom Cruise, John Travolta, et cetera, so many times before, I'm going to declare you a secret Scientologist. And we see that with Miles Teller. We did an occult and esoteric review, Phil, there, and we've done the first half, at least, on the first part on The Offer. Since we've done that discussion, sir, Miles Teller playing CIA agent Al Ruddy, executive producer of Hogan's Heroes and The Godfather, Cocaine Bob's buddy, and co-executive producer there. He was played by Miles Teller in The Offer on Paramount. Miles Teller, confirmed now, Scientologist. So we see him starring opposite Tom Cruise in the new Top Gun. So that's what I mean by you star opposite Tom Cruise, especially. He's one of those guys where his entire staff is Scientology. He won't even look at you, apparently, if you're not a Scientologist. So, because that's the new human. It's this whole cult mindset of they're already better than them, that kind of thing. I don't want to go too full blown senior right now. So, I appreciate that commentary there, Todd the Wizard. And you were a man who started a conspiracy theory radio show before the film Conspiracy Theory, which I do hope to book you in the future for an occult and esoteric review on Mel Gibson's masterpiece there.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Totally.
So, Dr. Inferno, not a doctor of anything of a medical variety. What are you a doctor of, sir? If you may tell me.
Controversy, chaos.
I'm just bullshitting. No, I appreciate your time, sir. When did you first encounter this film?
Well, I mean, I really, a lot of these people's stories don't really mirror mine because I kind of consider myself I know I'm just ordinary. I consider myself kind of a normie when it comes to conspiracies and to even its I guess its cousin and more refined parapolitics. in that I was always like a fan of like Chris Carter's works, like the X-Files, the Lone Gunmen, Millennium, and stuff like that. But ultimately, I saw this film back in, I'd say, the mid-aughts. The mid-aughts, I saw this film, and I stayed away from this film because I don't really like Jerry Bruckheimer or a lot of those like action-based like films. I'm not really into that. I'm a real big fan of The Conversation, though. I am recently. So even when I watched it for the first time in the mid-aughts, I didn't have a refined eye to really go over all the stuff. I just know what I had experienced sort of coming of age around the time when 9/11 came about. And I know that the hysteria and paranoia that surrounded these events and the whole fervor around Islamic terrorism and extremism. And also OKC kind of had been in the backdrop, and the whole sort of white supremacist stuff from the 90s was in the backdrop. So I kind of came into all this as a skeptic and someone that has realized after reviewing this, rather recently, a lot of this stuff did come true, and a lot of these stuff has actually intensified when it comes to surveillance. And now I realize that you don't really need to do a lot of the stuff they did in the movie. They now have like people voluntarily give up that information, like, which actually astounded me that people
that's
would
part
want
of
to
the
sign up
program,
for
right?
stuff.
They want to make it easier to collect the data, sir, if I may. That's part of the but we see that in the plot line. We see that in the plot line.
Well, what's interesting, I want to highlight this also is that looking at DARPA and looking at some of the stuff like cyberpunk and cypherpunk, which I did read as a kid. I read it in high school. I'm not really that surprised because it almost feels like some of that stuff, I want to say, was organic, or some of that stuff kind of actually rose to the surface, or maybe it's the, intelligence agencies that are kind of copying that.
Unintelligent.
For
continue.
For the mystique, of like being edgy, being original. And also, like, in the 90s, also there was like the hacker wars as well that came about, the Cult of the Dead Cow, stuff like that. So it brings
Well, that's what I was going to say. It was kind of in vogue, right? We had the film hackers. There was this kind of a push even amongst the media crowd of Hollywood to push these ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that just makes you wonder if a lot of the cypherpunk, a lot of the cyberpunk stuff kind of is also, I don't really want to say predictive programming, but maybe they have sort of augmented whatever initial gay op they had with DARPA, so I can say this film is a good film.
Well, you can speak poorly of DARPA, sir. You can speak poorly of the NSA, but don't speak poorly of those Muppets at Langley, sir. Ours is going to get all bent out of shape.
I know.
The good guys over there, yeah.
What's interesting about that is the NSA.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing wrong here, Todd. They didn't do nothing wrong.
I never did nothing, yeah.
Yep.
What's interesting is a lot of the NSA are former hackers themselves. A lot of the NSA are actually flipped hackers. A lot of people were incorporated from stuff like Anonymous in the hacker wars, and
that's what we see with Gene Hackman's character, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of a surveillance specialist, not really a hacker, but yes, I mean, a lot of hacking is social engineering, which a lot of people probably know if they read Stephen Mitnick's work, Ghost in the Wires. A lot of hacking is really just social engineering, and now with the technology and surveillance technology, it's just augmented to the extent to where you can put this into action. So that's interesting to note.
What do you mean by now? Like, how long do you think they've had this technology in place?
I mean, that's a question. I mean, I would guess for a while they probably just sit on it or just utilize it, for special cases.
Well, yeah, we even see them as they're tracking the normal authorities in the film, as they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on around them, as all this warfare is popping off under these matters of national security and this, this veil of secrecy. They don't know what's going on. Even the FBI's, and there's all these different factions that end up they're all in the same soup, if you will, this alphabet soup of unintelligence agencies. And we see the confusion that's caused in the film. And everyone in the film has a different, like, they're not even trying to attack each other. It's all one big boondoggle. And that's why I often argue about conspiracy culture in general, is we're looking at things from the outside thinking these people are, wow, that's a nefarious plan. No, they keep fucking up. And then they try to fuck up the cover up. They try to clean that up. And then they fuck up that, and then they keep fucking up because they're not very intelligent. They're very
after 9/11, they cried, "Oh God, we don't have enough money, and we all need to be teamed up together because we're not on the same page, and then we could really stop the bad guys." Remember that stupid argument?
Well,
if we were all connected together and everybody knew what we were doing, and we could communicate faster, we could stop these terrorists.
Well, that's the whole
Yeah.
pretense of the film. That's where we get started off, and I'm glad you brought that up, sir. I have a clip to get this to get that started off here for us.
Phil, look, I don't.
Wrong clip. I'm gonna fire something up here tonight.
Come on. Come on, look. Now look at that ball. All right. Come on, get that ball. There's no problem with that. Oh, God damn it. What happens, let me know. What the hell are you doing here? This is not the office. This is my private time. 5 minutes. No. I said no Tuesday. I said no last week. And I'm going to keep saying no till you hear me. 5 minutes, Mr. Chairman. That's all I ask, 5 minutes. Want some coffee? No, I don't want any coffee. I want to play with my dog. Look, I'm not asking you to vote for it. I know you can't. Just release your people. Let them go the way they want. Telecommunications Security and Privacy Act. Invasion of privacy is more like it. You read the Post? This bill is not the first step to the surveillance society. It is the surveillance society. A lot of liberal hysteria. Oh, listen, I'm not going to sit in Congress and pass a law that lets the government point a camera and a microphone at anything they damn well please.
So that is the thrust of the film there. As we'll see here in this next clip, that guy's about to get murked to start the film. So John Voight, not to be confused with the orthodontist or endodontist John Voight from the Seinfeld series. He's playing the deputy director of the NSA. And he's trying to push this stuff through, and it becomes an issue. And we'll see why here in a second. But I mean, this is contemporary to these times. We were dealing with these matters in our society. There, they try to pass that pre-Patriot Act there in '96, right?
Yep. And nobody wanted it. We're suspicious of you. We don't trust you.
I believe
you haven't done anything to prove that you're worthy of pulling this off. Angels wouldn't be able to be trusted with this kind of authority, this kind of power. So putting these guys in charge of snooping on everybody is like putting the devil in charge of the hen house, you know?
Did you say angels like the angel of death?
Yeah, exactly.
Phil knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I believe
I can't help but watch this film. I'll go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, I believe they actually started trying pushing all of this like in the late 80s is when you start seeing some of this appear for the very first time. And they kept trying to sneak it into bills, you know, these massive omnibus bills that, you know, they sneak stuff into and kept getting found out. And once again, like Todd was saying, nobody wanted it. Everyone understood what the implication of these things were going to be for everyone.
Sure.
They drummed into our heads. They drummed into our heads since World War II. What happens when you're in a fascist or communist country where surveillance is all powerful and people go to secret prisons and secret systems exist? We've been drummed into our heads this thing, and so to turn around and say it's a good thing is just crazy.
You know, if I may interject,
well, I mean,
Todd,
here's the deal, though. Ever since the inception of, I may say real quick, ever since the inception of the National Security Act of 1947, which brings us all these muppetries and violations of constitutional rights, you know, those inalienable rights issued to us by God. Not these Muppets in D.C. who write things on paper and call it legal, but anyhow, the matters at hand, though, we do see that ever since the national security state started, the CIA, ours buddies, those Muppets at Langley, they started off as an administrative function, a very small function. They had no agency of wide-ranging scope or matters, anything like that. It has evolved into that. The whole national security state's evolved into that. And in doing so, we've heard it from Thomas Fuentes himself, the former deputy director of those Muppets at Quantico, the FBI. He said in 2004, while he was the deputy director, that when he's making a budget for a law enforcement and intelligence agency, he does not. He says his mantra is keep fear alive. He says he's never going to say that he solved all the crime and stopped all the terrorism because all the funding would stop. And that's what we see. So they're always, you know, they're always 20% more each year kind of, you know, move they're doing. They got to increase that budget. So therefore they need more terrorists.
Yeah, when Russia fell, when the communists were no longer the enemy, they started ramping. The terrorists become the new enemy, and then they eventually turned the terrorists into domestic terrorists. And now we're sitting here looking down the barrel of a gun.
I would argue they've always been domestic terrorists since July of 1947. We're just now seeing passion come to the erupt in our society, like we did in Iran-Contra with that Rex 84. So OJJ was just talking about those other programs. That's a great example over there with Rex 84, right, sir? OJJ? Rex 84?
Sorry,
not a
sorry,
dinosaur.
I couldn't
not a dinosaur
myself quick enough.
It's a program. It's a program to violate yours, mine, and everyone else's rights.
Well, I was actually told that was just a fake conspiracy theory that Rex 84.
I was told all this conspiracy theory, sir. I don't even know what we're doing here. Our channel told me.
Well, if by fake conspiracy theory you mean they built tons of holding facilities all across the American Southwest border, that part was real.
Nope, never happened, sir. Never happened. Not unless Oprah Winfrey tells me it didn't happen. I'm only saying that because that's the mindset a lot of folks live by, right? Unless Oprah Winfrey said it didn't happen.
Right.
I thought I saw these places.
There's nothing suspicious of massive military trains being pushed by Union Pacific across the entire country. Nothing going on. It's just war games, right? They're just the military's on.
I hear what you're saying, sir, but a lot of that is fear mongering. I think it's intentional fear mongering. Here's the deal: because those corporations want to move that shit because they get paid for it.
Of course.
And then other folks want to help them move that shit because it's a show of force, even to our own populace.
Right.
Who have become an enemy over the years. I mean, look at the way the FBI's acted, and look at the number of violations of the FISA court. FISA court wasn't even a thing yet when this film was made, and the FISA court just in recent years, I mean, the number of violations of folks' rights is quite astounding. But no one hears about it because these are matters of national security.
Right.
Just like no one hears about the secret fund that's paid out, I believe, nearly $500 million now in the last 30 years to sexual assault victims of U.S. Congressmen and senators. They pay these things off on the side using tax dollars in a fund they created because they wrote it down on paper and they said it's legal.
Right.
Secret, and it's all secret too. All their proceedings.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you who they raped, sir, and paid off. Come on.
Yeah, why would you ever?
It's national security. How dare you, sir?
I hear you.
National security. I mean, that could bring the whole nation down if we.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we knew how many Chinese spies Eric Swalwell had associated with in a biblical fashion, there. I mean, look, no one's going to like that guy again. This is national security.
I mean, have you guys seen people making the argument for why we shouldn't release any Epstein files is because it could possibly destroy the government, and it's like
I believe the exact quote from Mike Johnson, sir, the Speaker of the House, was matters of national security.
Right.
Well, like Trump said, you can't get rid of 600,000 Chinese students because the university system would collapse in the United States.
I mean, if this is what our system is dependent upon, I mean, let it go.
I hear you, but I'm just saying it's the same.
No, I
kind of weird logic. It's like,
well, it's politician
we do see
logic,
these,
right?
Well, even when these matters come to the public surface and sphere outside of the bubble of national security, this cloak, we see them even pull more Muppet shenanigans, not the good kind of shenanigans. And Phil knows what I'm talking about with the Rex 84 Iran-Contra hearings when Daniel Inouye's often cheered as some sort of Muppet of freedom of liberties and speeches and whatnot. The head of the committee there who ran those hearings, and he calls executive sessions when shit gets real weird real fast, doesn't he?
Yeah, when they were questioning Oliver North about what he was working on in regards to Rex 84. And we could talk about funding the Contras and giving money to Iran, but yeah, when it came to what is this supposed National Security Council staffer who works out of the White House basement working on for continuity of government, and I think it was Jack Brooks from Texas who brought it up, and then Inouye, who was same party, was like, yeah, I think we'll handle that in executive session, and that was it.
Yeah. And who else was on these committees back then? One, Joseph Robinette Biden. Now, he was a senator, right? He wasn't a congressman. This guy in here was a congressman. We see getting murked. But he's from Syracuse, and I cannot help but notice that is, in fact, where Joe Biden went to university there. You know what I mean? And he just, it's an interesting aspect because he was involved in these things from that side of the aisle, if you will, during that same time frame. He's the guy that wrote the bill for that pre-Patriot Act that I can't remember the name of in '96. That we're gonna butt fuck your we're gonna violate the shit out of your Constitutional Rights Act.
Are you talking about the drug bill or the telecommunications bill?
Yeah, I'm talking about the violating the shit out of your Constitutional Rights Act of 1996 that was written by Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
So we
that was when he was using the N-word. Yeah.
Yes,
when Biden was using the N-word. Yeah.
We see the same thing. We see the same thing, Phil, in regards to these executive sessions. During the Trump Russiagate fictional nonsense, we had an MI6 agent write a fictional report, Christopher Steele, then testify behind closed doors, which all of his testimony is still not completely unsealed. And then we had a different MI6 Muppet named Matthew Tate. He also testified behind closed hearings. His FBI 302 form and numerous aspects of his testimony is yet to be unsealed. So we have foreign spies testifying behind closed doors in Congress, and ain't no one really care about these things. Yeah. And they're making up stories about our president, and right, wrong, or different. You don't have to think of Donald Trump. The U.S. president is being ousted in a tyrannical fashion, and fictional reports testified in behind closed doors from our elected representatives. And everyone's like, yeah, but I got to go pay some more tribute to the shrine of the fish goddess, Starbucks. You know what I mean?
Well, JJ, haven't you heard that we have a special relationship with the Queen?
How dare you, sir? Who's we, and how did you come across the details?
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
We have a special relationship where they spy on us, and then our corrupt individuals can go over and ask them, "Hey, what'd you hear about this guy or this guy over here for your spying?" And then it's all legal. It's all good. It's awesome.
Well, that's a good point. Well, they wrote it down on paper and said it was legal. But who are those nations involved in the Five Eyes? If you think about it, they're all crown nations. And we never left the crown. They burnt this motherfucker down in 1812 when they burnt the White House. So I don't have them, like in American history, they're just like, oh, yeah, move past the time when the British came back and burnt this motherfucker down and just keep moving forward. But wait a second, buddy.
Set up a central bank shortly thereafter.
How do you explain that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
secret societies.
We see the Five Eyes. We think, oh, well, they're invading our nation. We see them testifying behind closed doors in Congress, and from their perspective, this is their nation.
Well, it sure
I see some
sure
head nod going on over here.
Definitely not ours.
It ain't mine, sir. It ain't my national security either. It's their national security, and that's what we're talking about here in matters of national security. And we see the upper echelon of our government. We see our current Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. We see the statements from his pastor there at the beginning here in National Security November all month. Don't feed the feds and don't let them feed you, and go fuck yourself, RR. So I don't want to step on the words of the good doctor. You were saying something before we went on some side tangents, sir.
I mean, no, that's fine. What I was saying
Paging
is that
Dr. Inferno. Paging Dr. Inferno.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear.
Heart attack in room 7. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Dr. Inferno, we need your stat, bud. What you got?
No, I'm here.
Give me a name. Give me a name.
I don't know, man. I don't know. No, but anyway, what I was trying to say was that I think America, from its very inception, was sort of kind of designed, in my opinion, as a sort of surveillance state. I would make that argument. A lot of people love the founders, and I'm pretty sure they had good intentions, but ultimately, you've had a lot of people like to point out, recent hysterias that have happened, but people forget there was the Illuminati scare
Name one.
that goes all the way back to the 1700s.
Name an hysteria, sir.
Say what? What is it?
Name one of these hysterias you're so arbitrarily stating that everyone knows about.
The Illuminati scare. Going back to the 1700s.
What else you got? Give me another name. Give me a name.
Something from the 80s, maybe. Something from the 80s.
Dude, what are you, a pro-commie, dude? What's going on here? What are you with the commies?
Actually, maybe. I know I'm probably not.
I thought you were going to give McCarthy Red Scare, but you went a different direction. You kind of hucklebuck. You threw a curveball.
I know, you're surprised. So So one thing I think is interesting also is that, the people don't often see that the postal office is a spying apparatus,
Yeah,
the government. I mean, it's obvious to you, but a lot of people don't know that. I think that's kind of where the birth of a lot of surveillance came from, and also like we know that General
Can we
Washington
abort it, dude? If we've located the inception points, can we abort it at that same point?
I mean, unfortunately,
it was no. Hold on. You're right, Doctor. It was like a military operation to steam and read every letter at some point in our history.
Yeah, it's
every letter that's coming in. Had an army.
But no offense, sir. It's in the name.
Totally. Read every letter.
No, yeah, you're right. Though. Long before they were taking photographs of everyone's pack, they take a photograph of every fucking package to reference later. Hold on, sir. In this national security state style, when suddenly Jason Lee, the Scientologist, has beef, the NSA pulls up. They get into their Promise software style, right? And their Promise software, and they pull together all of these various databases together for a profile dossier on the guy immediately, real time.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, again, we're seeing these things. And again, it is to a sense a revelation of the method too, right? There, again, as you were saying.
Absolutely.
Todd, I got some unfortunate news, sir. You're coming in real hot. You're coming in real hot.
I'll try to back off there. How's that?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You sound good.
Is that cooler?
We'll see how it goes on the other end.
It's just my obnoxious voice that probably comes through louder. But one of these things these guys like to do, I have to remind myself over the years. When you read into the history of the CIA and these intelligence agencies, their actions and their machinations.
Now, sir. Easy now. Ours in the chat, sir. Easy now.
Well, they're so weird and twisted. Some of the stuff that they went through that it boggles your brain. Why would they do this stuff? And one of the reasons I think they do what they do is because there's a benefit to letting people know how evil you are. It warns people off of you.
Well, yeah, it's posturing.
Yeah, so you might you want to have an image of, man, I'll do anything. I'm crazy, kind of image that may or may not be real, but it works.
So in the next, that's an excellent point, sir. So after we see the initial beef that starts off the film there with John Voight, not the endodontist, but John Voight, the creepy actor, because all dentists are creepy. So, the next clip we see is more of that beef.
Phil, look, I don't care who bangs who, what cabinet officers get stoned, but this is the richest, most powerful nation on earth, and therefore the most hated. And you and I know what the average citizen does not, that we are at war 24 hours of every day.
Yeah.
Do I have to itemize the number of American lives we've saved in the past 12 months alone with judicious use of surveillance intelligence?
Thomas, cut the crap. I've got 3 major employers in the Syracuse area alone who are going to get just killed by this bill.
I promise to get you funds equal to or greater than whatever those companies gave your last campaign.
I'm not talking about campaign contributions, damn it. I'm talking about my constituents being out of work. Jesus, man, wake up. National security isn't the only thing going on in this country.
Matters of national security. What are your thoughts, gents?
The most dangerous, probably, thing that we have going to our national security is our economy completely demolished by these people, sucking the life's blood out of this country to create a giant military industrial complex that gets over oiled 5 times. That's why America is sick, is because we spend 10 times more than the next country behind us in military defense and all this garbage, but we don't really get our money's worth out of what they're spending, and what we do get is just evil pointed, not in the direction that would help us, but in the direction that always seems to make our road in the future look harder.
Well, that's where I liked where you were going before there with both of you gents. They were saying before there, they're JJ, I believe, were saying this framework was constructed this way for the globalist enterprise of this Anglo-American enterprise, if you will. to reap the profits of every aspect of American society, from the resources to the people. We're seeing that come to fruition. I think the tail end of the long plan of that.
You think, JJ, that maybe having a stable neighbor down south, like South and Central America,
people, I mean, you got to start attacking. Hold on, sir.
You think having a stable?
If you see,
okay,
sir. Oh, time out, Todd. Can you hear me? Is this thing on?
Yep. Pardon me.
You go. I just no, you're fine, bud. I just wanted to just make this real quick point of what I was saying there. So we see it in the film. We see they immediately attack Will Smith, right? You got a problem with, you're suddenly, we got a way of dealing with dissenters, right? Go ahead, sir.
Yep. The last point was, you would think part of national security would be having countries at your southern border, your neighbors, with stable governments, not corrupt.
Sir, you're trying to be too reasonable. That's how they finance their national security. How else they get the drugs and the humans in?
I know. If it was the real on the up and up, they couldn't get the drugs through.
Well, and again, we see Gene Hackman's character in the film. So he's already kind of gone through the gambit of being ostracized from his role. He was a former NSA guy, and he's turned against the Muppets there that kind of threw him out of his position. And he's working in an aspect to kind of, attack them at times, right? Certainly when he teams up with Will Smith, that's what they do. And I'm sure you're familiar, Todd, as I know Phil is, with the character known as Chalmer Chuck Hayes. Chuck Chalmer Hayes. My fault. Wait, time out. Give me a name. What's the name there, Phil?
No, I think it's Chalmer Hayes, but I think Chuck was like his, what he was known as.
Chalmer Chuck Hayes. We'll call him Chalmer Chucks. Yeah. So, did you ever cover this in your radio program, Todd, in the early 90s? Was this when you had the radio program? Was the Inns Lawfare, even though it was kind of popping off, was that a topic of politics?
Yeah, that was something that was something on the radar, definitely. But it wasn't like it wasn't in the main vein of conspiracy stuff. It was sort of on the sideline at the time, like a number of other things were. Is that a banking situation, Inns Law, or is that's the spy equipment, right?
Yeah. It's the surveillance equipment that was leased out to a lot of police to monitor criminals. That was uncovered by Danny Casolaro.
Yeah, and I followed Danny Casolaro as much as I could. He had that theory about the octopus was found in a hotel bathroom, bathtub full of blood or whatever.
Yeah,
claimed he committed suicide. Claimed he committed suicide by slashing his arm 10 times or something. I forget what they said.
Right.
No, that's an accurate description of the circumstances. And really, the Promise software is this early AI prototype, essentially, right? And it basically can access all these databases and compile the information kind of real time. And we see that going on here within the aspects of the film.
If I may interject here also and say, I find it interesting also in the film how it highlighted sort of how the police, the alphabet agencies kind of work in tandem. And this is like something I thought a lot of people didn't do for like dissidents, but I really do. In a lot of cases, I do believe like the police do work in tandem with the alphabet agencies, and that I believe during the 60s and 70s, they took a lot of the Joint Task Force people and integrated the CIA people and integrated the Joint Task people and also integrated them into the police force. And most likely the Inns Law thing has given rise probably to what the police now use called the David system, which a lot of officers have used to actually spy on their ex-girlfriends, to spy on citizens. They're not allowed to do this, but they do this on a regular basis. So I find it kind of interesting, the parallel in the film, how they sort of highlight that in the film. And some of the spycraft that's like given away in this film is absolutely astounding.
Yeah. That's why it reminds me of they're doing this. I thought at the time I saw it, wow, somebody's making a movie to wake people up and make them be aware that they need to rebel against this, which we've already been told our whole lives as American citizens. You don't want communists or totalitarian taking over the government. But now that I look back on it, it looks more like a predictive, like they're programming your brain to be used to it when you finally see it. Now I look at it and I think they were setting this up ahead of time. This movie came out to kind of get you ready for what they're doing.
Todd, if I may, sir, do something about it, right? That's kind of what they're saying, right? Do something about it.
Yeah, what you gonna do, buddy?
What you gonna do, buddy?
And my favorite part of the movie, one of them is where Gene Hackman discusses guerrilla warfare. What do you do when you're the underdog? He tells him all the techniques that you do. And guess what? You can use those techniques in any situation in your life, like you're trying to get a better job, you're trying to rise up, you're battling a totalitarian dictatorship. Some serious life advice.
No, that's a good point, sir. And as far as I may on these points of the infiltration of the federal agencies into the state and local levels, we have every department in America gets opportunities to send officers to the FBI Academy every year. So that happens. So that's the Muppets and Quantico need some in a local department like Moscow, Idaho. They already got a few guys on deck. They've already got trained. So that happens, right? We also see the fusion centers. That's an excellent point there. The fusion centers.
Oh yeah, the fusion centers. Absolutely.
Literally. And this is where a lot of these tyrannical matters that we see pop off in the plot line tonight would have been operating through a fusion center, although they didn't exist yet at the time of this film. Now, the other thing I think is about these black ops we see in the film too. Again, not the least of which is of all the confusion of all these parties involved. No one really knows what the other one's doing. They're all doing things for other reasons than the other parties think they're doing them for. So, and that's all very fascinating on the aspects of considering what we see in regular kind of real world Muppet World stuff. And also we see them, the NSA, they have a very compartmentalized team from the deputy director, John Voight's office, his assistant, they're a couple of security guys. Then they hire a couple Marine recon guys and they tell them it's a training mission. So I just think that's an interesting aspect to consider because everyone's got a different lie. Everything's compartmentalized. And I think this is a lot of times how it plays out.
Kind of like on 9/11 where you're a police officer down below the towers on a training. We're just training in case a terrorist attack occurs. So if something happens, don't be alarmed.
But they literally, as they continue to stalk, harass, and do everything else to Will Smith's guys, so they're even doing like there's a name for it. I was discussing at the end of my show last night with the German who should be an American, Ellie there. We were talking about, I think it's called Zerksugen, and it's literally a tactic we see in the film. They break into Will Smith's house. They do a bunch of weird shit. They don't steal anything. It's just to drive him nuts. This is something that started by give me a name, sir. What's the
Charlie Manson?
Charlie Manson Network. No, it was the Galen Spy Network. You know that Gavin Newsom's dad, Otto von Bullshit, worked for. The SS officer.
I think it was just simply called the Galen Networks.
Yeah,
Galen. But so there was this thing, and they would literally break into someone's house, just move shit around. And Will Smith saying that, they're like, no, they just took my blender, man. They didn't steal anything else.
Yep.
They just broke some shit and took my blender. And that's literally a tactic we see that started by this national security network.
Yeah.
And just to circle back to a point I was making about, the whole Illuminati scare is that I'm sure you're aware of the Mate One incident and a lot of the mine strikers that happened. Okay. What happened in West Virginia?
Where? Give me a name.
It happened, I think, in Logan County, West Virginia, somewhere around there.
You're pretty close, sir. Just south of there. Yep. Just McDowell County. Yep. Please continue.
Okay. So I think a lot of this surveillance stuff already was existent in America. It really goes back to when they were sort of clearing the West, when they were hunting Indians. They were using civilians to hunt Indians. And I think a lot of that was transferred over to the Pinkertons and the Baldwin Felts. And they were utilizing this. Yeah. So what's interesting about that?
And in relative, if I may, sir, to the Madawan incident you just referenced, you can't just drive past it. Those are my kinfolk, sir.
They're my kinfolks too, by the way.
Well, there you go. We got. I believe we discussed this. Sid Hatfield, I believe, is shared kinfolk in between us, the murdered sheriff, in that matter. So we see the largest civil uprising. What's that, sir?
Unfortunately, I'm a McCoy.
How dare you, sir? I'm also a McCoy. So is Charles Manson out of Pikeville, Kentucky. How dare you, sir?
Oh, where's your...
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
How dare you?
You react to those kind of feuds. You know how Appalachians are; they like to feud. So,
well, you ain't kidding. I'm both Hatfield and McCoy. How dare you, sir? We'll start a feud right now. So I already got an East Coast West Coast feud going with OJJ, sir. Don't get me started on feuds. It's in my blood. But we
my blood
the battle. Well, how dare you, sir? The Battle of Blair Mountain is the largest civil uprising outside the Civil War, and it literally was because the Pinkertons and the Baldwin folks there, like you mentioned, were murking the coal miners that didn't want to get BR'd by the system there that they had imposed on them, which was tyrannical at best. You know what I mean? So then their solution is, let's just drive by. We'll get on a train. We'll go real slow, and we'll just start murking an entire coal camp. And get the fuck out of here, dude. Of course there's going to be a civil uprising.
Right. Pinkertons took on a bunch of dirty jobs that nobody else would back then when the governments were corrupt in a lot of those states.
Is that where Mike Rowe came from? Dirty jobs?
Tammany Hall reminds me of.
I mean, but if you look at stuff like the coal companies and all that, it was kind of their job to keep dossiers on, trouble.
Sir, Tammany Hall was a society of the Cincinnati.
Yeah, sounds like their style. Governance.
No, it is the functionary operational center of the anti-liberty movement, always has been, and the same political machines operate out of that same area today.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Burr started the Tammany Hall.
Yep. I didn't know that, but that makes sense now. Aaron Burr, that's why he's kind of been that demonized, but not quite. He's like a anti-hero president or something.
Well, we can get into those matters later. They fixed his trial. He was tried for treason, but it's a horse of a different color.
He's an odd
Phil, agent of the New Decimal System. How dare you for making me read more books first and foremost? So, did you get the same kind of when you see the Gene Hackman character in this film? Were you thinking Chalmer Hayes?
I mean, on the second watch, I'd be more inclined to believe that. Hayes, he was. I remember in reading J. Orland Grabb's series that what was it called? It was like they had a name, like it was like the fourth line or something. Like it was some sort of attack.
The fifth column, sir.
Yeah, fifth column. Yeah, against. Well, it wound up being like a bunch of congressmen who wound up like resigning before their or not seeking re-election, and it was like I think it was disappeared money and things like that. And when you think of Gene Hackman's character, who better to beat kind of these rogue operatives than someone who's been a disavowed spy.
Well, you're spot on, sir. You're a man with a lot of details as always. You're spot on there. So there was more than just Chuck Hayes here, but we do know Chuck Hayes is the only one that kind of erupted to the public surface, and we see a very limited aspect of that in the Inslaw case. Hayes has recently acquired the internet label of Angel of Death or Angel of Doom, competing with you there, Mr. Dumenti Mori, Dr. Inferno, that is.
Angel of Death!
Due to his efforts in encouraging the early retirement of corrupt politicians. So they were using the promise software, these machinations of the national security state, none of your business, against these corrupt politicians because they got, like Gene Hackman, they got fed up with them, like we see in the film. Now, Hayes had previously testified with respect to the Inslaw case with Danny Casolaro. We'll be getting more into on Operation GCD Sundays. Most notably before a Chicago grand jury in August of 1992, Hayes' extensive testimony in that case was redacted under the National Security Act of 1947. You don't get to know this Muppet protections only. Muppet security. That's what it should be called, Muppet security, not national security. So that was popping off kind of right beforehand. Again, no, I'd say all this with Scientology, Xenu's clock is right twice a day, just like, any broken clock. But again, there's posturing, I think that's going on there because let's be honest, that's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black because they violated the rights of so many folks. They've unlawfully surveilled on folks, not the least of which was the lady who wrote the first book out against the Scientology folks back in 1970. They framed her for an attempted bombing of Henry Kissinger, Cocaine Bob Evans' friend.
Of course they did.
massive effort. They had infiltration. They had a guy move in with her. They used her fingerprint on a bomb threat to Kissinger. I mean, she had numerous trials. Again, it was not easy to overcome these charges for her. And this was
well, you know what they say: don't cross the Scientologists.
Did Xenu send you, sir? Did Xenu tell you to do that?
That's just what I hear lately.
You can't ask me any questions, Todd. I'm not holding any cans. So
sounds spooky.
No, I just think it's kind of odd. You know, they're notorious for all of these tactics. I mean, David Miscavige hired the current Xenu leader there. He hired a father and son private detectives out of Texas to follow his father around after he left the quote unquote church. And they got arrested with a lot of firearms and sniper equipment and silencers and shit because they were going to murk that dude, apparently. So it's some dark shit.
Have you ever seen a Scientologist outlet? Walked in one of them?
Is this some sort of sec check, sir? Are you reporting me to Xenu? What's going on?
No, I'm just asking, have you ever seen a location that Scientologists in there? You ever seen one of these? Ever met a Scientologist on a corner somewhere? Or?
I've been to a number of Scientology buildings. Yes, I've been to their museum.
It's pretty strange. It's pretty weird.
Well, you want to talk about weird, sir? When you find yourself in Los Angeles, go check out the Museum of Death. It's there. Well,
I got it. I got to see that.
Give me a name.
Okay. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but I believe that L. Ron Hubbard kind of got his start in the intelligence by spying on like other Hollywood people. A lot of times he was reporting like names of other actors, which is kind of interesting because he actually designed a book that's very popular in alt-right circles on the online fringe. It's called the 1955 Brainwashing, a synthesis of Russian textbook on psychopolitics, which has been falsely attributed to Laventire Beria, who was the right-hand man of Stalin. And this book kind of underlies a lot of the different techniques that I believe are Scientology techniques that were outlined in this book. I was wondering if you were familiar with that one.
I'm not, sir, but I'm fascinated.
Me neither.
So, like I said, around the time, I guess we kind of tiptoe lightly on this podcast about the Red Scare, but there was kind of at the time, there was sort of an
wait a second, sir. How dare you? How dare you? Who's limited
we don't
to these terms first and foremost? Give me a name, sir. I'll fire that Muppet.
Whatever you do, don't mention the communists. Hey.
I thought you were going to say L. Ron Hubbard got his start in. I thought you were going to say L. Ron Hubbard got his start in diddling kids. Because again, he came from Thelema, and it is part of religion. It does advocate such.
I mean, who didn't get their start in Thelema and eventually become spies?
Yeah, who didn't do these things? I didn't. I'll tell you that much. Give me a name. Who else didn't do it? Did you do it? Is that what you're telling me?
Hell no. Every politician. Don't put that jacket on me. I already got it out. Don't put that on me.
Don't put your hate on me, there, Dr. Inferno.
Don't put that hate on me, Ricky Bobby.
Me, Dr. Inferno.
I will if you accuse me of that,
though.
One of the things I studied for a lot of years was magic a long time ago. Pardon me, JJ. One of the things I studied a long time ago was magic. I got into Aleister Crowley at a young age, when it was popular back in the 80s. And one of the things that I was interested in was once I started studying it in magic was this idea. I forget what what were we just talking about 2 seconds ago? Jacob?
Oh, Schindler's List.
What?
We're talking about Schindler's List.
Schindler's List.
That book.
Oh, I was talking about the 1955 Brainwashing Manual, a synthesis of Russian textbook on psychopolitics.
Okay, you brought me back to what I was. You brought me back to what I was talking about here. When I also researched, when I started looking at the history of the CIA and how weird their internal struggles were, looking for moles inside the CIA, I realized how twisted that was. I realized how twisted they could get, and then you realize they got to be all up into OTO and Thelema. So thank God I was scared to death of those magical organizations before I joined any of them.
Well, they The CIA, when you were talking about magic, and earlier too, before the show started, they used guys like John Mulholland, who was a magician. I mean, they utilized his services. They even brought Frank Olson to him after they dosed him with LSD. And
Aleister Crowley.
53.
Crowley was a triple agent.
Yep, I've heard that too. Yeah.
And then Manly P. Hall in the United States, The Secret of All Ages, one of the most famous books on secret societies in California. He's got to be real.
We have a film here, gents, chock full of corporate Satanists, if you will, corporate OTO fellows, if you will, the Scientologists. So we see the spookery and this occultism all throughout the core concept of this film, right?
Right.
Yep.
Other JJ, what are you plotting on over there, dude? You ain't been saying much. I think you're plotting on me, dude.
I'm actually
trying out JJ.
I'm actually pulling up some information in the background. Kind of just.
I knew it.
Yep. Totally pulling it up in the background.
You're with the NSA, aren't you? Give me your name.
You got to stop.
Yeah, right. I'm not that good at
Go
keeping
ahead,
secrets. The NSA would never get a hold of me. But
you're in your Faraday cage over there. Like Gene Hackman.
Right. All of this
hold
is
that
kind
thought,
of
please,
interesting.
sir. Hold that thought, please, sir.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy. What is it? It's Fusilli Jerry. It's made from fusilli pasta. See the microphone? When did you do this? On my spare time.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm just kind of saying that, it's just really interesting how much information they actually put into this movie, though. Because, I mean, some movies, it's kind of sprinkled in, but going back and watching it, there's just a lot of information in this if you know exactly what you're looking for.
Chock full of it.
Yeah.
It was like they were showing you what they already could, what they were doing, but it's on a much bigger scale. It's on a much bigger scale.
Over there? And what are you
this
doing
is
over there?
One of the books that figures into that.
Which book is that, sir?
It's Odyssey of an Eavesdropper. The author, Martin Kaiser, was a consultant on Enemy of the State. And I think he probably contributed a good portion of the to help with the script.
I warned all you gents and the folks of the interwebs. He's a secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System. Appreciate respect. I've never even heard of this book.
He was also a consultant for The Conversation as well.
Yep.
Just to point that out.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
And speaking of conversations, we had a conversation about the conversation before the show there, Phil.
Yep. That was a great movie.
Well, you were mentioning there was an Easter egg in this one, right? Were you saying that? Somebody was saying that before the show. Was it you? Am I accusing you of things you didn't do?
No, it was him. It was him. Yeah, it was him.
I thought so, dude. I was like, wait a second. Are you pulling some weird Dewey Decimal secret agent stuff on me right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy, he designed electronic devices. He worked for the government at one point, and then he was selling devices through a cutout to the FBI. And then at some point, he had a falling out with them, and then they tried to ruin his life. They tried to bring up some sort of trumped up charges on him. And, this is a guy who at one point, one of his closest friends was Frank Turple, who was, partners with Ed Wilson and selling weapons to Gaddafi. And I think they declared Turple dead a couple times when he was on the run, and, that he was helping, I think, Gaddafi in the 80s. And then they said, he died in Cuba, and that, he was a prisoner of Castro and all that. And who else? Mitch Warbell's in the book too. And,
Mitch the Fifth, as they call him.
Yep.
Always pleading the fifth, that Mitch.
But even though
he got murked at a very interesting time, did he not, sir? Right around that Roy Raiden time by similar parties, because he gets murked by Larry Flint, who William Menser had worked for there.
Yeah.
And right after Larry Flint gives him $1 million check to go murk his opponents, right? Mitch V to go murk a bunch of pornographers.
What year is it? What year is this? Right there.
Give me a name, sir. No, we'll call it December of 83.
83. Okay. What year is Larry Flint shot?
That was a few years before. That was in the late 70s. I think it was
like okay, so he's like 79 or okay. Yeah, man, if that isn't intimidation, if somebody coming up and shooting you in the back doesn't make you stop doing whatever you're doing, well, you must be a tough mother unker, but or whatever. Because Larry Flint for a long time published like the most deep conspiracy stuff, Mae Brussel and stuff nobody would touch. Yep. I mean, it was off limits.
If I got some commentary about that, sir, I mean, we live in a Muppet world, first and foremost. You mean to tell me that in 2002, Larry Flint publishes in Hustler magazine on the cover an article by Tracy Twyman talking about satanic ritual abuse, naming Larry Flint as a primary party in it? Get the fuck out.
I didn't know that. That was wild. No, I didn't know that.
No disrespect, sir. No disrespect, sir. But if you want to believe that, I can also say a different tale. I got shot by lasers twice.
There you go.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Stay vigilant, folks. Ted's down. They got him twice.
Look out. Those kind of hurt, too. A little bit.
No, I hear what you're saying. And it was, again, it's part of controlling the message there, right? And I think that's why we see that. I mean, dude, Larry, in regards to Mae Brussels, Krasner is her editor there, and he's a fucking Scientologist. And what are we talking about here, buddy?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. No disrespect, sir, but hey, buddy. Not really talking to you, Todd, but I'm just saying, hey, buddy.
No, I hear you.
These are my problems with conspiracy cultures. When you look at the details here, and you don't have any evidence of getting shot by fucking lasers, dude, I'm gonna be like, hey, buddy.
You just gotta take his word for it, You just got could have happened twice. Ow! Laser beam. Should have been like one of those at the disco with Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Laser beam me. He's at the discotheque. No, come on. No, whatever that song is. Relax.
Well,
Relax.
Other JJ
don't do it.
Earlier. Other JJ, I obviously intentionally played that clip to cut you off. I don't want you out JJ on me here on my own show. You were looking at stuff. What else you looking at over there? But what else you plotting on?
Well, I'm kind of just pulling up some information on just like the technocracy that, I mean, that's literally just being forced upon all of us. Not sure if anyone saw it. Well, I'm sure somebody saw, but Apple has now officially pushed digital ID into the Apple Wallet, just normalizing this further. I mean, just the very idea of now a major phone company, electronics company in general, just pushing the digital ID, which just a couple of years ago, anyone that brought that up was a conspiracy theorist. You were crazy. That's never going to happen. And now here we go. It's a new feature.
That's a fantastic point. Let me ask you this: are they being forced to do this, or are they taking this on their own recognizance? Let me give you this. This is a primer. Boom. Right. National security letters, sir.
Damn.
These are the ones Apple can publicly disclose. They can't publicly disclose all of them. So.
Right. So, I mean, are they being forced to do it? I don't know. I think they kind of want to do it anyways, because this also benefits them.
If you don't want to do it, we got a way of dealing with dissenters, right? That's what we see in the film.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it benefits them though. And what's the current CEO? Tim something.
Tim Cook.
Yes, he's a total scumbag.
Oh,
I mean, he's pushed some of the most authoritarian lobbying out of Apple. I mean, he even gave President Trump one of those cheesy like gold Apple presents or whatever. It's like, paying respects to the Dawn or something. It was just wild to watch. But
that's a good point, sir. I appreciate using your brain hole for God's intended purposes and not what some folks do as an oversized fucking paperweight. But Tim Cook is a great character to compromise, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's look at the guy. Let's look at that Muppet. First of all, I don't care if it's accepted in society. I'm going to go ahead and assume that being a homosexual man is the least of his, situations. I'm just going to use a reference point from one of the most powerful agencies and owners of sports entertainment in our nation, the William Morris Entertainment Agency of Hollywood agents. Those Muppets, Obama's chief of staff's brother's agency. Rahm Emanuel's brother, Ari Emanuel.
Ari.
Yeah, they own UFC and WWF and whatever. Anyway, they I believe it was one of the executives at his firm there a few years ago. He's like, oh, he's a gay fella, he says, he went home on the weekend and had some sort of sex dungeon in his house. This probably wasn't the first instance,
There's
by the way.
anything wrong with that?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, buddy. Murder's the one there is. All right, how about that one? So, and he wrapped some dude up in I don't know, dude, name something, tinfoil, I don't give a shit. And the dude suffocated in their little sex rituals or whatever. And then he called the cops on Monday. Yeah, we'll go saran wrap. That sounds better than tinfoil. And then on Monday, and he went to work like it was no big deal. Like, hey guys, it's a rough weekend. And he didn't even get charged. That's what I mean by, that's kind of my point of this epicenter of power in these kind of matters. Whether it's, how is that national? Is that national security?
It's astounding how they weaponize everything, including I could even quote you cases about how BDSM for
Dude, give me a name.
Was a guy that was a serial killer that was utilizing his connections to this secret society of BDSM people called the Dungeon Masters or something. I know it sounds like some kind of D&D thing, but
I'm going to go ahead and assume it is a D&D unless you can prove otherwise.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, D&D was even used for, for spycraft and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's astounding how they can all weaponize every single aspect of these things and zero in on all, I guess, these weirdos. I guess they flock to that type of stuff. That is like sex dungeons.
You mentioned Blue Whale earlier. Before you were talking about Blue Whale, that thing. And where they would find people that they could push to extremes to try to figure out who was going to bite on this thing. That sounds like an intelligence operation, fishing for people that would do crazy shit.
And it's part of my pet theory where I think a lot of these ops, like the Blue Whale, the 6696, 764, all that stuff. Yeah, I can't go with one podcast without mentioning the Reddit.
Too many numbers.
I know, right? But I really think a lot of the purpose is to expose people to stimuli, to select out for certain kind of psychopathic, sociopathic types, and to lure them in and utilize them to their bid, kind of a la Dave McGowan style. If you ask me, I think a lot of that was going on. But if I may circle back to John Robinson, this guy was.
Nope, you can only move forward, sir.
Can't do it. We're very rude on this program now.
I'm moving.
Hey, how dare you, sir? How dare you, Todd?
Sorry.
So what I'm saying is that this guy, he's a serial killer, of course. Surprise, surprise. He has intelligence connections. No, allegedly.
His mama didn't think so.
So allegedly he's a serial killer. So he lures in all of these different sort of elected officials that are all involved in this scandal where they're going to this BDSM secret society, and he's probably collecting blackmail on them and utilizing it for his defense to get out of jail or possibly for their opponents.
Is that national security?
A very common thing. Yeah, national security, exactly.
I've been searching for what national security is. If you're telling me that's what national security is, I'll believe you, sir. You're a doctor.
I mean, believe me, I just play one on the internet.
Point on the doll, sir, where national security touched you. Point on the doll.
I always answer the same.
Show me on the doll, sir.
I always say in my frontal cortex. I'll point to my frontal cortex.
The worst part, yeah. The worst area. My mind. Put my mind's eye out.
They got you real good in the mind. They mind raped you.
They did.
National security style.
They did.
It's horrible what they do.
By memes.
Well,
no, this is fun.
I appreciate your thoughts there, Doctor. You're not a real doctor, but I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate you folks at the interwebs. Thanks again for joining us here tonight to get a little GCD on these nebulous matters of national security, which is always covering up hood rat shit, by the way. Give me an example.
Yeah.
Give me a name, sir. Phil, give me a name that's not an example of national security and hood rat shit. Is there one? I don't think there. I'm going to challenge you, sir. I don't think there is. You're a man with a lot of details, sir. You've read books I've never heard of. Again. I salute you for that. I'm going to read that one, though. I appreciate that. And there's really not an instance, is there?
None that I can think of. If they can hide behind national security, they will. I mean, I think anyone who could wind up being, involved in something government-wise, they can always hide behind national security, or they can find the most obscure reasons to hold. Why would a sexual abuse case wind up leading to matters of national security?
Yep.
When does national security stop being a reason to hide the truth? Like with JFK, how long do you got to wait till everybody's dead? Or
these are fantastic points, sir, because Lee Harvey Oswald's CIA docket is under seal until 2067.
Never a surprise.
And you make some great points, sir. If I may ask you, where did national security touch you? Show me on the doll. So here's a topic relative to J. Orland Gravy and the matters of conspiracy culture. We're of the same era of age and whatnot of the 90s. It sounds like we've discussed over time, we both got into these kind of conspiracy matters of that era. And J. Orland Gravy was a major figure on the message boards and discussion factors before AOL even, right? On the old school discussion boards. The whole, the ones you got to dial up and it takes 10 minutes, all those funky noises.
Yep.
So he was the first man to write about the Vince Foster case. Now we're seeing details about Vince Foster and the Epstein emails, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing a lot more details coming out now.
Is this a matter of national security? Is that what's going on there? Is that why we don't know much about that?
There's one of the things that came out about Vince Foster is that in his safe, he had, I think, documents that he was, that he had a certain clearance that was kind of a surprise for someone who was deputy White House counsel. I know that in the J. Orland Grab, his work, he mentioned something along the lines of that money disappeared from Foster's account, which led to shortly thereafter his death, but not saying it was a suicide, that he was trying, to possibly try to figure out what was going on with that, and kind of went from there.
I like your brain holes at, sir. My understanding of the matter, based on my research, like you're saying, started from the likes of Orland Gravy there. The man who I assert likely created Bitcoin. We can get into that. It's a bit of a horse of a different color. Bitcoin did launch the day after he died, and he did write a bunch of fundamental papers on the economics of crypto.
So you mean to tell me it wasn't Satoshi? It wasn't Satoshi who invented it?
He is Satoshi, sir.
Oh, he is Satoshi. Okay.
Yeah.
Gateway Pundit reported the other day that Vince Foster had sex with Hillary Clinton, and that was in the recently a few days. He had an affair with Hillary, and that was in their emails. That's been
a long-going rumor there with the Rose Law Firm. It was Chelsea's dad. What's that guy's name? Give me a name, Phil. What do you got there? Webster Hubble, Vince Foster, and Hillary Clinton were all a thing.
Yep. And Bill might have been sleeping with Foster's wife.
Bill's tickling Vince Foster's taint. They've been friends since high school. That was his move.
Yeah. What was the guy?
It's all in the family.
L.B. Brown, who was a state trooper and was on the governor's detail, said he saw them swap, and that Hillary even came on to him at one point. So that, a lot of people have, adhere to the Hillary with maybe Huma Abedin or whatnot, but she was definitely involved with other men. I mean, her marriage.
I think it was Mary Mahoney and Hillary, not Bill. Mary Mahoney, the young gal that would meet an early demise execution style at the Shrine of the Fish Goddess in Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always just assumed that Hillary was a lesbian.
Well, I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
So, these are all interesting points you bring up. In regards to Vince Foster, though, I mean, we don't know much about him because of the matters of national security. But he is suddenly back in the conversation, right? And long forgotten by many. It is where John Podesta seized power in the wake of his untimely death. Now, my understanding is he had taken account of a bunch of this money. He was White House counsel. We see this national security state and the National Security Council operating out of the White House, and they have this black budget, all this money, and he was the counsel of the White House. And they're like, "Hey, buddy, we're going to need you to hold this money like your name the thing with attorneys do." I don't like attorneys. They have a fund that they hold money in.
Escrow.
Well, yeah, thank you, sir. You remember a lot of details, Phil. I appreciate that. So
next time we're opening escrow,
national security money in escrow, and then maybe they did a lot of cocaine hookers. I don't know, but it went away apparently.
Hopefully,
Vince had to die apparently as a result. This is my understanding of it, and this is kind of what Graby gets to as well. We do find him we see his body dumped, clearly not died there in Fort Marcy Park, a mound, Civil War fort on a mound. Speaking of dolls and mounds, I got haunted by a fucking doll on a mound one time in Key West, Florida. It's not only I want to say fuck those Muppets at Langley, I'm plotting an assassination campaign against that damn doll. Anyhow,
I forget. Did you actually see the doll? Did you see the doll in person? Did you actually see it, or
how dare you, sir?
I forget.
Todd, show me on the doll. Where did national security touch you? Show me on the doll.
Right there in the third eye. Yeah.
So, it is interesting there because we see in the film, and that this is a tactic I think we see in the film, a nod to Vince Foster's death, if you will, because the congressman's dumped in one of the national parks. We see the folks that respond to is the Park Service. So not only did Slick Willie fire the FBI director the night before Vince Foster dies and his body dumped there, right? So suddenly the FBI is already in disarray, which that's never happened before, the firing like that, and especially in such a weird time. But then the body's dumped in the national park. So then suddenly they're not well versed in investigating homicides, but they have primary jurisdiction. Yeah. So we see that in the film. Yeah. And we see one of these NSA Muppets in the film that works for John Voight, the actor, not the endodontist. And he's infiltrated the National Park Service. He's got their uniform on. He's the one who spots Jason Lee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some deep state shit right in your face hole.
Well, when I saw the scene with Jason Robards' character, Hammersley's death, I thought Bill Colby.
Yeah. Same.
That's.
I didn't want to go there, sir. I appreciate that. I didn't want to go there. I don't like to give RR any fucking credit. You know what I mean? I want to give him. Now he's always asking me who killed Bill Colby. I always tell him he's my number one suspect.
Wasn't he found dead in a canoe?
They said he had gone.
What do you know about it? Were you there?
I just wasn't that he was out leisurely canoeing or something.
Oh,
Lake,
okay. Is that
not far from his home. I forget what.
Do you have any alibi for where you were at this time?
I just remember hearing the story.
Well, how about this one then? Why don't you show me on the doll where national security touched you, Todd?
My third leg, right there. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what national security is, but I assume it's something as dangerous as this little character.
So if I remember correctly, there actually isn't a official story of how Bill Colby died. There's like 3 different versions, and they kind of run around in circles, but there's never been like a concrete like this is exactly what happened.
A lot of speculation. They said he went out canoeing during a thunderstorm. Meanwhile, for a man who was known for being very meticulous, his dinner was still left on the table, like partially eaten. The front door was open. I think his computer was on. He was working for a publication called Strategic Investment, because I know they speculated that his death might have been related to the fact that they were working on Whitewater stories. And, to kind of bring that in, because, I mean, let's face it, the Clinton body count was pretty extensive, but I don't know. I mean, Colby could have been killed in relation to
Colby was Muppet Deep during the Franklin scandal, right? With his Colby queer, John DeCamp.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then they said he had a heart attack while canoeing. And then even though there was a week difference between when he was reported missing and when they found him in an area they had already looked.
Which that's
sounds assessment. I cannot add any additional details. The only thing I can add is right down the road. That's a great assessment, sir. Right down the road, Sidney Gottlieb had a goat farm. Just saying.
Oh man, the black magician of the CIA.
Yep.
I wanted to throw in some cultural I want to throw in some cultural programming that I noticed patterns. Gene Hackman.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you?
God, how dare you, sir?
Gene Hackman wins Best Actor, and Best Movie is The French Connection in 1971. So they're starting to bring in this drug, the drug war narrative. Nixon also started the drug war officially. And so they got to convince you through Gene Hackman's incredible performance, this is dangerous stuff going on, these French connections, drugs coming from the French mafia or whatever that movie's based on. So in 71, he's introduced as the best actor, and that's the best movie. William Friedkin produced The French Connection, and William Friedkin also produced The Exorcist. So you have another award, number one movie of that year. So this is like cultural programming is going on here. This is serious. Directors are involved, actors are involved. They're rotating in and out of the movies, the same movies for some reason.
You're identifying elements of the national security state, sir. You're saying actors and everything else, but these are obviously part and parcel. And we started this conversation, I believe it was Phil to point out, this was not a sanctioned film necessarily from the official Hollywood sanctioning of spookeries.
Tom Scott or Tim? Is it Tom or Tim Scott?
Tony Scott.
Tony Scott.
Tony Scott.
Yeah, the director Tony Scott. That's Ridley. Ridley Scott's brother. So they're brothers. This is not a coincidence. Two brothers don't become the greatest directors if somebody doesn't probably approve. Especially making movies about national security and military industrial topics.
Well, I don't want to invoke the devil unless I have to, but let's look at Cocaine Bob Evans for a second, and also go fuck yourself there, RR channel.
Yeah, so
Cocaine Bob Evans is that epicenter, the man who's running Hollywood, the man who's trafficking in cocaine and doing no jail time. It's what earned him the nickname Cocaine Bob. He gave it to himself. I honor the man in his death. And he's also did not go to prison. He's an unindicted co-conspirator. Granted, it was Charlie Manson's buddy. Our cousin. How dare you, Dr. Dementos? Our cousin from Pike, the McCoy from Pikeville, Charlie Manson.
What did I do this
for being cousins with for being my kinfolk? How dare you?
I know. How dare I? Greta Thunberg, how dare you?
How dare
you?
Oh, that's a different how dare you. How dare you for even how dare in that one?
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir?
How dare you?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You
just
go.
to address that RR channel comment real quick. I just looked at Dave McGowan's Program to Kill, and what he said was it's actually based on Colby's estimate. It was 20,000.
Oh shit! In your face hole, RR, in your face hole, buddy.
It's not Dave saying it was 20,000. It was Colby himself saying 20,000.
Dunked on.
OJJ, show me on the doll. Where did national security touch you, sir?
Oh, it's right there. It's right there.
I heard Bill Colby's ghost haunts that fucking doll. I'm just saying that's a rumor I heard somewhere.
Does that doll also like his balls washed too?
Well, of course it does. It's Bill Colby ball washer. It's the official logo of the Bill Colby ball washers. I do think there's factional warfare, obviously, within these organizations. Who the fuck cares who killed Bill Colby? I say it's one less Muppet. I'm just saying it's the least of my. As far as murders go, it's a little nowhere near the top of my list of concerns of unsolved murders.
I do find
my number one suspects are our channel. He's right there. Get him.
I do find his murder interesting though, because it does, I think, kind of show that there is obviously no loyalty amongst any of these monsters.
Sure,
like everyone's
100%. 100%. I mean,
just ask Angleton about Kim Philby. There is no loyalty.
Yep. Right. I mean, Angleton, and part of me always wonders about Angleton too, because Angleton was, I mean, considering he gets fired in 74 on the revelations of what was it, Operation Chaos, and I think Colby was the one who kind of helped give him that push out the door.
Yes.
You know, you had Seymour Hersh getting the revelations with the Times and putting that out there. And
yeah, but he's like the limited hangout guy. Sir, if I may, real quick, Phil, I just highlighted him in my national security. the Murder of Seth Rich documentary I put together. I'll be releasing that for the public previews, but it's been on my Patreon here about a week. And we see the same Muppets, dude. He plays a role. He's been playing that role since the 70s. Seymour Hersh. He plays a role in the Seth Rich matter. So does Michael Isikoff. He's involved in the whole Monica Lewinsky affair, right? Right after the Vince Foster matter. Again, these aren't separate incidents. These are fuck up after fuck up, and that's what we see in the film. Everyone's fucking up, and they're trying to clean up that fuck up, and then they fuck up again.
Well, on Angleton's case, right to the end, he claimed that they claim he didn't see these moles, the communist infiltrators. And because Angleton's most famous for believing there were moles and hunting down the moles when it turned out that all the people that he trusted. Yeah, he was probably the biggest mole, the mole hunting the moles,
There you go. Thank you, sir.
Setting them up.
Using your brain all the time, I figured you'd come to that same conclusion. You mean to tell me that Danny Casalero's neighbor was the mole?
Sounds like it. Well, one of them.
Well, no, he grew up next to James Jesus Angleton, and Casalero's father was the president of one of those bioscience firms that was making the night vision goggles that were the epicenter of the Iran-Contra scandal. So old Danny was, who was his daddy? What did he do? He found out who his daddy was and was investigating it, it seems.
It's nuts.
So do you think that Danny was actually starting to figure out the truth about his family, and that's why he got taken out?
Sir, I appreciate your question. Hold on. This is one of the most upsetting times in my life when RR channel makes a good point. There is actually no evidence that Rich is dead. I have to agree with that. I apologize. I have to
That is
there's nobody. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. I will give it to RR channel there. But yeah, I mean, do you believe that Danny was starting to figure out what was going on with his family? Because I mean, all of this points back to his family, at least I guess that leg of the octopus. So
not only do I think he was into that, it's indicated in his notes and records they're being somewhat sequestered in their public purviews at the University of Missouri. I think there's only limited. I think what was put there was only in limited capacity. It's not the university's fault. I'm saying it's a limited hangout in and of itself. Much like all this nonsense around the Maury Terry files. We'll give you a couple files and then we'll bullshit you for years. Because the first question I asked is, I need to see the OJ file. And then a bunch of people try to bullshit me and say, Maury Terry never did the OJ. Then I sent them an interview with him saying I investigated the OJ case for 4 years, not 2, 4 years. And then there's less bullshit about that. And there's new bullshit around different topics. But what I'm saying is a lot of these things are being sequestered, not the least of which Casalera is. But what I discerned from it was, yeah, he was absolutely onto it. Michael Riconosciuto was his one of his primary sources, who was present along with Charles Manson, mine and Doc's cousin, and Pikeville, Kentucky McCoys, that is, much like Charles.
Represent.
Represent. We're ready to feud anytime. I'll feud with you, sir. Right now, I already got a weapon.
Right. Let's draw. Let's have a duel right here. Bow bow bow.
Pow pow. So Riconosciuto's in the Haight Ashbury with Charles Manson, with the process, with Anton LaVey, with all these Muppets, all that Haight Ashbury clinic nonsense, and Danny Casalero's sister allegedly dies of a drug overdose in the Haight Ashbury in 1970. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot more to these conversations, but they're matters of national security, sir. You can't talk about it.
And if you throw in, just like we're talking about Maury Terry, so what kind of helps bring his story, even though it winds up being a stilted one, into our modern time? Sons of Sam, the Netflix series. And what do we get with Danny Casalero? American Conspiracy, the Octopus Murders, which I was hoping there'd be more of, and I think those guys kind of muddied the waters.
And you know who? Yeah, they're big time handlers. I've questioned. They're the only ones who can contact Michael Riconosciuto. Now he's out of prison. I've been looking for that dude. He's living under an assumed identity. I can tell you that much. Anyhow, who else is involved in that, sir? Errol. What's his name? Give me that guy's name. Errol
Morris.
Errol Morris. Thank you, sir. What did he get on the map for? Do you know? I'm not. If you don't know, I'm not trying to stump. I'm not trying to stump you. You're just a man with a lot of details, sir. I'm sure you know.
Errol Morris. The first thing was I remember was the Thin Blue Line, which was his first documentary. But I know.
Yeah. Before he did that, though, he tried to make a documentary on John Wayne Gacy, I believe it was.
Yep.
You believe, if I'm not mistaken, was it Gacy? You tell me, sir. Was it Gacy?
Oh no, Ed Gein. Ed Gein.
My apologies. Yep. I knew you were a man with a lot of details, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, he actually went to jail and like interviewed Gein, right?
I think that's. I think I remember hearing.
Am I making this up?
Working with I think I remember hearing something with him and maybe even working with Werner Herzog or something like that. And doing
sir, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Phil.
Project.
Yeah, well, isn't that weird? So we get these two kind of weird filmmakers as they are, and Morris is involved in weird stuff throughout the years there relative to these kind of topics. And again, kind of controlling the narrative, I would argue, much like he's doing with the Octopus Tale. And I was offended, much like the Maury Terry tale there on Netflix, so that nonsense of the Process Church closed in 1974. You can go fuck yourselves, Muppets. I just did a show on that one, 6 Degrees of the Process Church never fucking closed in 1974. So it's all propaganda. It's obviously propaganda when you look at it, but I was offended like I was there what they did to Terry's character assassination. They have 100%. Danny Castellero's ex-girlfriend talking shit on that documentary. That's offensive. I don't even know the guy. It's offensive.
Right.
Yeah, it was not. And just another connection.
40 years later,
I like
talking to his girlfriend.
Yeah, keep it classy, Todd. They weren't keeping it classy, were they?
I didn't see that. I haven't seen that.
It's it pissed me off because I've read The Octopus, the Ken Thomas and Jim Keats book from the early 90s. And then I read Sherry Seymour's The Last Circle. Now, Sherry Seymour's in part of American Conspiracy, but I think they cherry-picked what they wanted to. And then, in the end, the guy who supposedly looks like Danny, like an early version of it, this guy, Christian Hansen, he's interviewing this woman, Anne Clank, who was like a former girlfriend. And, I think she was like a journalist too. And she's like, I think he did kill himself. Like, it's like, okay, well, where's his notes? The notes that he took with him all over the place. I said, all of a sudden, it's like, okay.
Yeah,
now, I was going to say, as you were
not only that, Morris. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So with Errol Morris, he did Wormwood, which was the docudrama about Frank Olson's death. And who's the major source in that? Seymour Hersh.
Are you my brain hole, sir? That's what I was going to bring up.
I didn't know
controlling the narrative around a lot of these spooky topics around these matters, right?
Yeah, Netflix is a limited hangout in terms of any sort of conspiracy.
You're going to sit there and tell me, sir, that Sigmund Freud's grandson, the grandnephew of the man who invented propaganda, who helped start Netflix, Bernays, you mean to tell me that's what this is propaganda?
Yeah, Mark Randolph. Yeah, yes, I am.
You're going to sit there and tell me, sir, that Stranger Things season 1 is brought to us by the nephew of one Carlton Gadusek, one of the darkest, sickest motherfuckers I've ever seen. Anthony Fauci's friend, right?
And then TMZ has an exclusive. They release all their big releases on Netflix, all your P. Diddy information and all those inside Hollywood gossip videos. They're on the cutting edge. They're on Netflix.
Yeah,
watched 2 or 3 of those recently. Harvey Levine looked like he was ripped out of his mind while he was narrating that son of a bitch. He's like, oh God, I'm making so much money at this stupid shit.
Oh, they'll find skeletons.
What would Bob Dylan say about that, Todd?
That's what. Hey, people said I did some drugs. I lost my head.
So I like to you're spot on, Phil. Here, unfinished project on that again, inspired by Hitchcock's Psycho. Morris visited Plainfield, Wisconsin, 1975. So. I don't know if you're familiar with the known knowns of that case, but in 1958, they burnt all the evidence, and there was no evidence in the first place.
Yep.
They had a fucking receipt. And they're like, hey, buddy, we got a fucking receipt. So imagine having a receipt convicting you of being known as the most heinous serial killer ever. Now, this dude was into some weird shit. He was clearly digging up some bodies, and he was, it puts the lotion on its skin. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a real thing. But
totally.
A lot of there was no evidence of murder, and they burn all the evidence, and they memorialize them through all these films. And Werner Herzog goes and helps in that process, along with Errol Morris, and they're doing their own Muppet activities still today. Both of those Muppets, and I'm just saying we see the continuities of these known knowns of the matter, and I think we don't know more about them. The known unknowns these are matters of national security.
Yep, and don't forget who does Morris kind of run into when he's writing his book about the Jeffrey McDonald case? That in a chapter that's called
Tom O'Neill.
Crazy, Ted Gunderson.
Oh,
yeah, that's right, dude. Laser
before
tags
or
heads
after
everywhere,
he
man.
got shot with lasers?
Well, let's be honest, dude.
Might have been
He
both
may have.
before and after.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not sure the epicenter of when that occurs, so it may have been.
It's a lot of cons to run at one time. Aliens and Satanists and.
Well, but that's what the FBI was doing, sir, at that time. In fact, they had an official program of such.
Yeah, fighting the aliens and the Satanists, and good thing you had like John Travolta and Tom LaVey to help them make some movies, so they could promote this satanic panic.
You're spot on, Todd. It's all part of the same suit, buddy. Hey, buddy. What was other JJ? I'll give you a chance to out JJ. What was the name of that operation we were just discussing? Megaloid or Megadoids or name something.
Which
the FBI operation with the Satanists and apocalyptic cults and the Black Panther cults, they were all financed by. Look, here in America, we finance the best tyranny. We wage the best tyranny against our citizens with our taxpayer money. Here in America, we do it the best. We spend the
They probably create like the worst Satan or hardcore white supremacist Nazi organizations you've ever seen. I'm sure the government helps that along. Kind of like down in South and Central America, our neighbors, all our countries below us are destabilized. Don't you just, isn't that what you do? Just wouldn't you, if you had all this power, wouldn't you just destabilize everybody beneath you?
Well, I mean, that's certainly part of the plan, right?
Right.
I guess so.
And you're talking about Project Megadude?
Megiddo.
Yeah, Megiddo, right.
Is that to convince everybody that Satanists are coming and the end of the world's coming?
Dude.
They were playing. They were playing off the Y2. They were playing off the Y2 scare at the time.
The end of the world.
They're the ones who, sir. They weren't playing off of it. They created it.
Right.
Most likely.
Most likely. Let's look at it, sir.
Most likely.
Give me a name. Give me a name.
They said, let's see what people will do if we announce everything could just go crazy on this date. And then they just sat back and watched what we did.
Right.
Which wasn't much.
I think a lot of that was like social engineering. They wanted to kind of see how the public are going to react.
They made you think. I had friends that started getting 55-gallon drums of water ready, because you could run out of water and shit.
Right. I mean, which is smart to do, but not when you're fucking panicking from a false report from the FBI.
Sir, I'm pretty panicked. I don't know if you're aware of this. You mentioned the Satanic Panic series earlier. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. We're in year 45 plus of that panic, so I'm getting pretty panicked.
Yeah.
45 years plus of that, and 100 years of the communists are going to invade. The Red Dawn. Remember, we had the
calm, dude.
Yeah, waving the fucking gun around.
Calmer than you are.
Calmer than you are, dude.
That's right. Can you get me a toe, JJ?
Hey, you need a toe, sir? I'll get you a toe.
All right.
Get the toe by 3 o'clock. You need a toe, sir.
Big toe or
big toe? Little. Hey, you tell me the size. What kind of size toe you after, bud?
I don't know.
Here in America, we have, it's the land of the free home of the toes. You tell me what size toe you need and get you a toe.
Probably goes for.
I do thank all you gents for joining me here tonight to go to GCD on these matters of national security. Our channel, you and those Muppets at Langley, go fuck yourselves. So we'll bring this thing in here for a close, though, and we'll do some commentary on some closing thoughts and any other recipes, baking recipes, or other matters of such that you need to discuss. With this crowd, I'm not sure. You guys are welcome to discuss anything. I just want to battle the accusations I received earlier from the good doctor over there trying to tell me I was limiting his speech. How dare you, sir?
I didn't say that.
How dare you, sir?
I didn't say
How dare
that.
you? How dare you?
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you? I'm just making shit up.
How dare you?
Source, I made it up.
9/11, an inside job. How dare you?
How dare you? Let's start with Dr. Dementos there. My apologies, sir. Dr. Infernos. I always get your screen name and your Dr. Infernos, dude. Conflated in my brain hole,
Maybe I
dude.
should name it back. Maybe I should name myself that.
It's not your fault, dude. It's not your fault. I get things like Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman conflated. I get a lot of things conflated. So.
I'm kind of hurt, man. After we kicked it, and IRL and shit, I'm kind of like offended by it.
Well, these are allegations that I cannot confirm nor deny because this is National Security November, sir. We cannot confirm nor deny these allegations.
Okay, maybe it was a limited hangout then.
I can't confirm nor deny these allegations, sir. This is a test. I'll keep going. You tell me, sir. You tell me, buddy.
Well, I mean, I had the experiences in my mind, and unfortunately, that's not enough until we can hook my mind up to something and, extract that.
We cannot confirm nor deny these allegations.
Elon Musk is working on that as we speak.
I need to get my Neuralink.
Tonight's film.
Exactly.
I do appreciate your time. These accusations are wildly inappropriate. I can't confirm nor deny these things, but I do appreciate your time, sir.
I did want to mention one more thing, that we do have kind of an ongoing sort of incident that's sort of like enemy of the state is exactly it. Only it's probably a matter of national security, and that is there was a guy that was found recently named Suchair Balaji. He was a guy who was programming OpenAI, and he was the whistleblower for a lot of the sort of happenings of the OpenAI incident. He was warning the public how dangerous OpenAI is. So I think
remember that story.
Further into. And what's interesting is that they were actually covering it up as it was happening. At least his parents accused the police force locally, the San Francisco police force. They accuse him. They accused them of covering up the whole incident. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out if we ever get any information on that.
No, that's an excellent point, sir. Now, they keep trying to sweep that under the rug real fast, don't they?
Oh yeah. Sam Altman doesn't want that to come out.
For sure. And speaking of these matters of national security, sir, show me the doll. Where did national security touch you?
I'm going to answer as always.
I appreciate your thoughts here, good doctor. You may not be a medical doctor, but you're a doctor in a lot of details, and I appreciate that, sir.
I
appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you bringing me on to discuss enemy of the state.
And I appreciate you appreciating that, sir. I will keep appreciating things if you do it. We'll feud about it, dude. We'll have an appreciation feud, sir.
That's right. Let's have a feud.
So here's another national security murder that often doesn't get described and not talked about, not just Vince Foster, but there was a fella in the Inslaw affair. He was a source to Castlero, I believe, out of the NSA, if I'm not mistaken. He was found, I believe, stuffed in a suitcase in his car, DCA airport. Phil's nodding his head. Phil knows what I'm talking about.
Alan Standorf.
Alan Stanwyck. Put it on the Stanwyck account, sir. It's a Fletch reference. Please continue.
Alan Standorf was, I think, January 91. I mean, the amount of deaths, I think, that would eventually be attributed to Inslaw. I think there was even a guy who was one of Jeffrey McDonald's lawyers who they tried to connect into the Inslaw murders.
You wouldn't be I was going to say, you're not describing John Markham II, the Process Church attorney who represented Jeffrey McDonald, nor would you be describing F. Lee Bailey, the BCCI money laundering O.J. Simpson attorney. He also represented McDonald. Nor would you be describing Alan Dershowitz, who advocates snuff films. Jeffrey Epstein's brother. They all represented Jeffrey McDonald because this is national security. They got to keep a lid on that shit.
Oh God, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
But this Standorf one's interesting because some of the known knowns of the knowing things about these things, sir, we do know that it is matters of national security.
Definitely.
Army secrecy surrounds Standorf death. Fucking weird, man.
It's ridiculous.
Fucking weird.
It's just ridiculous. I mean,
but if that shit happened in Russia, you'd be like, well, yeah, it's commie shit. But it happens here. They're like, no, dude, that just weird shit happens, man.
Yeah.
It's just national security. Don't worry about it. Stop asking questions.
Yep. And we'll, if you want to,
we got to have a guy like Henry Kissinger as our national security guy. That's a foreign.
Tell me cocaine Bob Evans' friend is going to come save the day national security.
That's foreign born. Him and Zbigniew Brzezinski are going to protect us better than any American could.
Oh, good God.
Oh.
It's almost impossible to say that man's name without sounding drunk, isn't it? Zbigniew Brzezinski's.
They had a thing for German accents or something.
His intern.
No, he did, sir. Let's not sugarcoat it. He murdered that young gal.
Oh, he definitely did. Definitely did.
What do you got on that? Give me a name. Why don't we know more about that, sir? Why is that guy on TV even though he murdered some young gal?
It pays to be
national
connected.
Security? Is that what it is?
Well, Joe Scarborough was a congressman and then abruptly resigned in the middle of his term. He was from Florida Republican Congressman Lori Gratuitas, I believe was the name of his intern, who fell and hit her head and I think was found partially clothed in his office. And then
who doesn't have a partially closed dead staffer in their congressional office?
Could happen. Your pants are down. You didn't do nothing.
Yep.
I mean,
he didn't do nothing.
Hey, it's DC.
Yeah.
DC, anything can happen.
No, well, this happened in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I believe Ron DeSantis would later take this position, and then later,
even better,
after that, would be the guy whose parents live in the Truman Show house, Matt Gaetz, that weird plastic surgery Muppet. And I think today in that same district is Anna Paulina Luna. The lady's going to tell everybody about aliens. Now, here in America, sir, you can strip in it, you can dance you can shake your titties in a strip club down there in Fort Walton Beach. A very shady one, by the way. Spent my 34th birthday there. Don't ask me any questions. I'm not giving you a name. And then a few years later, you can be a congresswoman. You can be a congress Muppet telling the world about aliens, dude. This is America.
I mean, hey, shake your titties and
shake them titties.
Reveal everything about aliens for all I care.
Dude, let's take a pause. I just want to take a pause. Thank you, gents, for sharing your ideas and thoughts on these matters of national security.
Who would you rather look at, Anna Paulina Luna or Hillary Clinton? Yeah.
Now that you said that, sir, you're seeming pretty suspect to me. I got a question for you, Todd. Show me on the doll, sir. Where did national security touch you, Todd?
You know where, right? Straight through the heart. Yeah. Broke my heart.
So isn't it strange that we're currently...
I trusted those guys. I trusted those guys.
Time out on the court, sir.
Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Well, the only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar, cocaine, and baking soda.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
When you make crack, what you're doing is you're burning off all the impurities so that it combines with the sodium bicarbonate, which makes it smokable. That's all. All of these actors and, people in the past that talked about they had a problem with cocaine and freebasing. They were smoking crack. So
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Anyway, my point about it, your point about it, which I think is true, is that there's a thing about crack.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Support your local science store, folks.
Science stores.
Hey, who doesn't love themselves some crack recipes? Now that Muppet has sat in on numerous National Security Council meetings, and we don't know nothing about it because those are matters of national security.
Kids don't use drugs, unless the government approves of them.
Isn't it strange in this world of Muppet World 2025, we are led by the folks who are in the administration who lead this nation are reality TV stars, like, for example, the guy that runs NASA right now here, Sean Duffy, star of Real World, I think season 3. We got Cash App PayPal, who's running the FBI. He's a podcast host. He used to have a #1 song on iTunes. We got Dan Bongino, his assistant, who owns Rumble.
He's #5 talk show in the United States. Yeah.
So on and so forth. I mean, that's what we are, the United States talk show host right now, right? And fucking Muppets, right? That's what was running our nation.
Pretty much.
When we say things are a fucking shit show, like a magic show, like we literally have actors, actresses, and a former stripper that I think gave me a lap dance, perhaps, maybe even, or at least my friend, at least. I'm a 34 down there in Fort Walton Beach. Who's going to tell us all about aliens? I'm just saying there's a reason why when we're saying things are orchestrated, look at the Muppets orchestrating it. They literally are actors, actresses, and former strippers.
That's why it looks so. The facade looks so shoddy. Too. That's why the performances it's not so great. It's not so convincing. Also, we don't got some professionals here. This isn't a Shakespearean actor's troupe. This is a
I mean, these are some of the most
neighborhood
people possible.
theater.
This is exactly who I want to trust with matters of national security.
Definitely.
Actors.
Got a good record.
I couldn't agree with you more, sir.
It just feels right.
I mean, who doesn't love a good crack recipe?
You know, we have all these unsolved mysteries. You know how we have all these unsolved mysteries? You know, you hear, oh, this happened on this date, and God, what happened over here? What this movie tells you here, this Will Smith, Gene Hackman movie,
Todd, show me on the doll.
is they have cameras everywhere. They could solve a number of these so-called mystery crime events. Why haven't they, and why aren't they? And then once you ask that question, you realize, wow, whatever's behind this giant surveillance system, it doesn't really have your back. It's keeping this information for its whatever purposes.
You're a man that uses his brain hole for God's intended purposes. I greatly respect that. Because why is Jeffrey McDonald, Captain U.S. Special Forces Army, not like Muppet Mikey, who was present for duty at the Fort Bragg Special Warfare Center when Jeffrey McDonald's whole family got murked by a murdering band of hippies, according to him, and he got stabbed himself a bunch of times. And again, what is the purpose of violating his rights of double jeopardy? First and foremost, he got acquitted, and then they retried him for the same charges under some weird auspices of their interpretation of the law. These fucking Muppets. And then they bring in Dershowitz, F. Lee Bailey, literally F. Lee Bailey, BCCI, Colby queer money launderer from the scandal that erupted after Iran-Contra of the same Muppets. He was the chairman of the board of a bank that are owned by BCCI in Florida. Same with the Florida U.S. attorney. When the fucking shit hit the fan and the dominoes fell. So these it's all the same enterprises, right? So we see these matters, but we don't know enough about them because we can't. It's matters of national security.
Right.
I would never have known about that if I hadn't watched your program. You know, the that element you were talking about a second ago.
Which element was that, sir? Was it a burger element?
There's probably a burger element. I forget.
Was it an element of where did
a lot to take in, JJ? Your show is highly informational, sir.
Show me on the doll, sir.
Right, straight through the heart.
It's straight to all of our hearts, man. That's the heart of liberty. That's what I respect about all you gents. You guys are all liberty-minded gents, and I appreciate that. I've met a lot of non-liberty-minded gents. I've met a lot of non-liberty-minded ladies. I've met a lot of folks who don't use their brain hole for God's intended purposes. So I can't accuse any of you of that. I'm going to accuse Dr. Inferno of something. I'm plotting on what to accuse him of, but just give me a second. We're feuding before the end of this, buddy.
Keep trying. There's a lot of people on the internet out to get me, sharpen their knives. They've not been able to get me, though. Except I got blocked by a couple people. I mean, big deal.
Yeah, well, here's the deal, buddy. They're not a Hatfield and McCoy, so I got a little bit of both.
I know. You got it in your blood. You got that bloodlust.
You got the thickness for and against.
I live out here on Long Island. You guys from Appalachia are fucking nuts, and I'm not going to disagree with you, sir. We are kind of crazy, but I appreciate you with a lot of details, despite the fact you're a secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System. I had never heard of. Now, that's an interesting book, though. It seems like a lot of folks have been writing about this for a while. That was what, 2005?
2005. I only just read it this year. I found it through one of the companies I review for. I guess they were looking to kind of promote it again, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll jump in and read it." And I'm looking at like one of the first things I saw was I love looking through the index, and I see Mitch Warble's name, and I see Frank Turpel's name, and I was like, because I actually took a screenshot and sent it over to Dana from Rotting Jewels to take a look, because when I see names like Turpel and Warbel, and I'm like, yep, this is one of those books. Want to get if you can.
Dana knows about Mitch V. He's a very integral character in that whole machinations of the Atlanta child killing scene around there with Wayne Williams. And he was also a man who was training those anti-Castro Cubans. And his little sidekick knew Lee Harvey Oswald personally, a man whose name I cannot think of at the moment, but it'll come back to me in a second. Patrick something, who he served as a technical advisor to Oliver Stone for the JFK film. Mitch Warbell's sidekick. You know, Mitch had already gotten murked.
You think of Jerry Patrick Hemming?
Jerry Patrick Hemming. How dare you, sir? You're a man with a lot of details, and I do appreciate that. So yeah, he famously told a story where he got himself arrested to make sure he was off the streets when shit was popping off, including during the House Select Committee. Again, he got himself hemmed up. So that way no one can just be murking him when they're murking a lot of other folks like DeMoran Shield and Johnny Roselli.
Oh, so he went the Richard Case Nagel route, getting himself.
I knew you'd have some other examples, sir.
Well, he was the one who shot,
that's a tactic,
shot a hole
right?
in the bank. Yeah, he
that's
shot a
these
hole
Muppets know they're going to
and,
get their shit going down. They're like, I don't want to get, I don't want to be involved in this, right?
Yeah, he shot a hole in a bank, and I think it was in some part of Texas about 2 months before the assassination. And when he got arrested, he said, I just didn't want to be in Dallas. Like he.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's like is this something they train him in doing, right? Like shit pops off. Here's how you get off the street.
I mean, that's something that goes back to. I mean, if you want to talk about intelligence and organized crime,
on intelligence.
Al Capone got himself arrested on a gun charge when he thought he was going to get killed because of the St. Valentine's Day massacre and how it kind of brought too much heat on the rest of the mob.
That's a great example, sir. Fantastic example, in fact.
Gave him some cover.
We see the epicenter of these activities of the mafia and the unintelligence agencies in tonight's film. The 1998 Scientology cinematic shit show / masterpiece of warning us all of the upcoming technocratic shit show we're all going to be subjected to. One big ass blast, Uncle Sam style, right in your face holes. We're going to look at everything you do. We're going to track it all. We're going to have it all on file for you.
That movie is their fantasy. That movie is their fantasy.
I'll jam you up.
That movie is their fantasy, what they wanted to do to us, what they had planned for us. That's what that movie was. It's like, oh, we can't wait to do it.
Dude, they're like, what are you going to do about it, buddy? And also they're saying, show me on the doll, Todd. Where did it touch you? Where did national security touch you?
Everywhere. It was no good. Yeah.
I knew it. That son of a bitch.
Suckers.
It is very fascinating. I don't think a lot
my
of
wallet. They hurt me right in my wallet. God damn it.
Oh, give me a name, sir. Who did this? I do think we see part of the reason why no one pays attention to these things. We're literally in a Muppet fucking magic show run by real world fucking MTV stars and shit who run NASA. What the fuck does a real world MTV star have to do with NASA? Granted, I would actually argue that he's probably more qualified than most scientists to run NASA because it's a Hollywood psyop. But nonetheless, on paper though, what the fuck does he have to do with NASA? He's in real world. I mean, he was a congressman. He was a Muppet in Congress. But look, here in America, you can be shaking your titties in a very seedy strip club in Fort Walton Beach, and then you can be telling the folks, be a congressman, but telling folks about aliens. So I don't give. And plus, I've been around these folks; they're all dumb and depraved. I don't give a lot of quality or value to being a congressman. But Duffy was a congressman before he was a NASA administrator as well.
Have you ever seen the video of Buzz Aldrin telling the little girl that we never went to the moon?
Tell me about it, sir. Give me a name.
Have you ever seen that video?
Give me a name. My bad. No, I've seen that. That is very fascinating. Here's an interesting tale. Buzz Aldrin, his buddy Neil Armstrong. Is that his real name? Is that a name?
Yeah, Neil Armstrong. Yeah.
Not Louis Armstrong. I was about to get him mixed up with Louis Armstrong. This guy knows what I'm talking about. I'll feud with you, sir. Watch out. Anyhow, isn't it interesting that Neil Armstrong would retire to be a professor at University of Cincinnati, living on a mound in Indian Hill, one of the most affluent suburbs of America, zip codes that is, not too far off from Doc Inferno's favorite spot in Cincinnati, Milford, specifically the Milford McDonald's. I'm not sure what it's up to. I think he's plotting on me, but.
Well, it's kind of interesting you mentioned that Milford McDonald's. I mean, doppelgangers are a part of national security and spycraft.
I knew it. You're plotting. Yes, I knew it. Him and my old McDonald's manager were plotting on the McDonald's. Every time Doc comes to Cincinnati, he stops by the Milford McDonald's, which just so happens to be the McDonald's my manager from 35 years ago works at still today. You do the math, figure that out. And I think they're plotting on me. I think he's plotting on me with my old manager from 35 years ago. But no, so look at the juxtaposition though. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, right? One lives on a mound and teaches college, and the other one's doing what? Say that story again. What was he doing?
Telling the little girl that we never went to the moon.
Yep. Remember when he went to the moon? He was like 97 years old.
And you know what he said? You know what he said? That you know what he said? Why they said that? Because it would bring the world together and make everybody happy of some grand achievement. And so I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's what he said. on video.
How does this qualify a real, sir? How does this qualify a real world star from MTV's Real World to be a NASA?
Exactly.
The head of NASA.
Exactly. A movie I think you should do, JJ, is Capricorn 1. Capricorn 1.
Not only am I going to do that, you just volunteered, sir. That stars Orenthal James Simpson at the same time that he joined Scientology.
Oh, there you go.
I thank you for bringing that around here for a Scientology reference there, sir. I do appreciate that. And you also just volunteered. Also, give me a name.
Definitely.
Give me a name, sir. Now, I appreciate that. That's great stuff, buddy. I appreciate your thoughts and insight on all these matters, and the other gents as well, minus Dr. Inferno. We're going to feud about something, buddy. Watch out. Phil, do you have any closing statements here before I feud with Dr. Inferno live on the air?
Let's do it.
No, I think we've covered everything. Don't trust the national security state.
That's a good way to leave it, sir. That's a good way to leave it. I only have one other message for folks of the interwebs. If someone ever calls you and asks you paid your dues, you tell them the check's in the mail. Also, watch out for lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Watch your six, folks. Stay vigilant. Ted's down. They got Ted. Probably not, but
twice.
Thank you for your time, folks of the interwebs. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. Thank all of you gents here for joining me here to get a little GCD, including Dr. Inferno. I do apologize for attacking you. I'm going to feud with you later, but I'm not going to warn you about it. Otherwise, that'd be a ridiculous feud. I'm going to surprise attack your feud, though. But anyhow, I look forward to sharing more film reviews with all you gents. I appreciate all of your all's insights, coming at it from a little bit different angle, and I appreciate the different perspectives. So we live in a Muppet world. Watch out for lasers.
You mind if I?
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, because you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.